Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 15 of What If Naruto Was the Red X. If you guys enjoyed this what if and want to see part 16 of it, comment down below and let me know. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. Titan's Tower. The tower was calm. Raven was sitting in her room and reading a book, a slight smile still on her face from her time with Naruto. It's kind of weird how Naruto grows on you after time, still like a fungus, but a fungus I really don't feel like getting rid of. Raven thinks to herself before leaning back in her bed while still reading, her face the picture of contentment, while her normally unruly emotions seem just as content. Elsewhere in the tower, Starfire is happily making herself another Tamaranian dish. Absently, the red-haired girl wonders if she should also take some to Blackfire whenever she goes to see her sister next, before shrugging her shoulders and happily eating a bite of the food she was preparing. Deeper still in the tower, Robin sat at a desk in his room looking at newspaper clippings with information on Pink X, putting those down for a second and sighing. The boy wonder, then places the palms of his hands onto his masked eyes and rubs. Sometimes I have to wonder if maybe I am too serious about this stuff. She is just a thief after all. Robin briefly considers before looking to his wall and stiffening, a poster on the wall causing his eyes to fall. The picture is of three people, all of which wear red, yellow and green uniforms. One is a middle-aged black-haired man, another is a red-haired woman, and last is a young boy with black hair. The words "The Flying Graysons" are emblazoned upon the poster as Robin clenches a fist and leans forward, picking up a blurry photo of Pink X. I won't give up, I'm always serious because I won't let anyone else I care about die, I won't lose another family. Robin thinks to himself and quickly goes over the information he has already gathered with renewed vigor, searching for what Pink X will go after next. Elsewhere in the tower, Cyborg is still working on his baby the T-Car, humming a tune to himself as he does so. Stopping for a second, Cyborg checks something and sees that everyone but Beast Boy is present for once. Wonder where Beast Boy went to? Cyborg briefly wonders before shrugging and happily getting back to his work on the T-Car. All seems to be peaceful in Titan's Tower, a luxury that the teen heroes very rarely are able to enjoy. However, soon enough a green furry blur rushes into the tower, running past numerous chairs in the main hall and towards the elevator. Pressing the call button, the green jester known as Beast Boy rides the elevator up to the top floor, then runs forward, stumbling for a second as her bursts into the Titan's common room. "Dude," he shouts, causing Starfire to yelp and drop what she was making before then looking at Beast Boy with a worried expression. "Friend Beast Boy, what is it that makes you shout?" she asks the panting Beast Boy as he then holds up a finger to give him a second to catch his breath. "I need help for a date." Beast Boy panted out and Starfire blinked for a second, before her eyes lit up, and she squealed happily, before lunging forward, and hugging the green furred jester. "My friend, you now have a friend that is a girl," she asks, and Beast Boy blinks for a few moments. "You mean girlfriend, Star?" he corrects and Starfire scrunches her nose. "Yes, that is what I said," she offers and Beast Boy sighs before blinking. "Wait, we're not boyfriend and girlfriend yet, Star. We're just going out to the movies," Beast Boy offers and Starfire makes an O with her mouth. "I am sorry my friend, it is just that I thought since friend Raven has a friend who is a boy, that you would also want a companion." Starfire offers and Beast Boy wonders what Raven and Naruto being together had to do with him going on a date. "Anyways my friend, I shall be most happy to assist you in any way that I can," Starfire then offers happily, and Beast Boy blinks. "Starfire, what do you know about human dating?" he asks and Starfire blinks, then chuckles nervously while rubbing her left bicep. Perhaps speaking with friend Raven would be more helpful to you," Starfire offers with a nervous grin, and Beast Boy nods his head in agreement with the red-haired alien. After all, Raven is the only Titan who has a companion, as Starfire put it. "Yeah, let's go," Beast Boy says as both he and Starfire rush off to the elevator. However, upon reaching it, the two slammed into and knock Cyborg onto his back. "Hey, watch it," Cyborg says, and both Beast Boy and Star quickly help him up. "Man, what has got you two in such a rush?" Cyborg then asks, and Star is the one to answer the titanium teen. Friend Beast Boy is having a date, and wishes to seek advice on courtship from friend Raven. Starfire says happily and Cyborg blinks, once, twice, then grins and snickers slightly. "A date? And you're asking Raven for advice?" Cyborg asks and both Beast Boy and Star looks to one another then him with obvious confusion. "Raven, as in the same Raven who normally just leaves the tower, and hangs with her boyfriend, as in the same Raven who'd rather just sit with him, and be comfortable than be in a crowded place. That Raven." Cyborg reminds and Beast Boy and Starfire look to one another before Beast Boy clears his throat. "Right. Sort of forgot how she is, but dude, I need help. I don't know what to do on a date. The only date I've ever been on was with." Beast Boy starts to say, then his ears lower and Cyborg grimaces. He hates it when Beast Boy gets all mopey like that. Yeah, well then you don't have to talk to Raven, why not ask me, or even Robin for advice, Beast Boy. Cyborg reminds and Beast Boy blinks before nodding his head with a grin forming on his lips. Right. I'll ask Robin for help. He says then moves past to shock Cyborg. Yo? What's wrong with asking for my help? Cyborg demands while following after Beast Boy, Starfire right behind the two as the elevator closes, and they ride down to the living area of the tower. When the elevator finally stops on the desired floor, Beast Boy walks out with an indignant Cyborg, shouting at Beast Boy about him being just as knowledgeable on girls as their leader is. Ignoring Cyborg completely, Beast Boy comes up to Robin's door and begins to bang on it to get Robin's attention. Inside, the set boy wonders sighs upon hearing the racket coming from outside his door. Well, I knew the peace and quiet wasn't going to last. He thinks to himself before getting up and walking over to his door. Opening it, he sees Beast Boy standing in front of him, Cyborg shouting at Beast Boy, and Starfire floating around behind the two, and all this isn't too odd an occurrence. What do you want, Beast Boy? I'm trying to work on a case. Robin states while rubbing his temples, and Beast Boy grins nervously. Dude, I kind of need some help with a date tonight. Beast Boy offers and Robin stops, then looks at Beast Boy for a long few moments. Are you serious? He asks and Beast Boy nods his head. Cyborg and Starfire doing the same. Wow, that's unexpected. Robin muses and Beast Boy gives an indignant hey. In response to the boy wonders words. Then why are you here? Robin then asks the green teen with a raised brow, and Beast Boy nervously shifts in place. Well, I've only ever been on one date before, and I was kind of wondering if maybe you had any advice. Beast Boy offers and Robin can't help a smirk, Cyborg growling as he crosses his arms over his chest. Well, what are you doing tonight? He asks and Beast Boy grins. We're going to see Wicked Scary, the Resurrection. He says proudly, and Cyborg and Robin both share a look at one another. You taking her to a horror flick as your first date? Cyborg asks incredulously, and Beast Boy rolls his eyes. She wants to see it as well, dudes. He states, and both boys look confused. Please, why would seeing the scary movie be bad for a date? Starfire asks and Robin shakes his head before sighing. Well, it's not bad, it's just unusually that a girl would go to see one of those movies. Considering how scary the first one was, this is probably going to be something else. Robin offers and Starfire tilts her head to one side, still confused. I still do not understand. Starfire then says with obvious confusion, and Robin sighs before smiling to the alien girl. It's just really complicated, Starfire. He finally offers and Starfire shrugs, feeling it is yet another Earth custom she will probably never understand. So she likes horror movies, you're both going to see one, and you're nervous. Why exactly are you nervous? Robin asks the green jester, and he looks at Robin incredulously. Dude, I don't know what I should wear. What should I say or even do? What if I totally make a fool of myself? Or even worse, what if she thinks I'm nothing but a furry green geek? Beast Boy says worriedly, and Robin shakes his head with an amused smirk. Beast Boy, just calm down. If you're just going to a movie, then wear what's comfortable. As for what you should say or do, if she likes you, then just be yourself. She won't think you're a furry green geek if you're both interested in seeing the movie after all. Robin offers and Beast Boy blinks for a few moments. Are you sure that'll work? He asks the boy wonder, and Robin smirks. Yes, Beast Boy. Just calm down and everything will be fine. Robin offers and the green furred teen breaths out before grinning slightly. Thanks, dude. Beast Boy offers, before rushing off to his room to get a change of clothes, and Robin looks to Cyborg. He was the last person besides Raven I expected to start going out with someone. Robin offers and Cyborg nods his head in agreement. Yeah, and that's mostly cause the little guy is always so overeager that he freaks out most girls in general. Cyborg offers with Robin nodding his head in agreement. You want to follow him to make sure he'll be okay, don't you? Cyborg then states, and Robin merely smirks before then walking back into his room, Starfire watching the exchange with a confused expression, before sighing and making her way back to the commons room to clean up her earlier mess. Dumb city streets. A 13-year-old girl is silently walking out of a grocery store, her hands stuffed into her pockets. Smirking when she's out of the store, the girl pulls an apple out of her pocket, and then takes a bite out of it. Happily humming to herself, the girl walks down the streets of Jump City. The girl is 12, with pale skin and long black hair that is pulled into a low ponytail, with her bangs curving to half cover one azure blue colored eye, while some spikes out. She wears a blue hoodie, with a pair of red shorts, a red hat on her head, blue shoes with white circles at her ankles, and white socks visible coming out of them. However, these clothes are all very old, torn, and have a few holes in them besides being a bit small on her growing frame. Taking another bite of her newly stolen apple, the girl doesn't pay attention as a familiar, brown-haired cop looks at her with a frown. Now this seems familiar. Snake muses to himself, before reaching to his lips and removing his cig, puffing out some smoke, before flicking the cig away. Crossing his arms over his chest, the man then follows the girl with a frown on his face, wondering if she was half as destructive as Jinx when she was still little. Hopefully she's not. Jill was bad enough, and I don't need another one of those types. Snake thinks to himself while watching as the girl soon finishes her apple and tosses it into a garbage can in an alley, then places her hands into her hoodie while walking down the streets. Frowning, Snake moves forward, moving past the many people on the street before moving to stand in front of the girl, causing her to bump into him, and then land on her ass. "Hey, watch where you're." The girl starts to say only to stop, when she sees the uniform the man is wearing. Hi. She then offers with a nervous grin and Snake frowns towards her. "Mind explaining why you're stealing apples?" Snake asks flatly, and the girl blinks then chuckles nervously. "What apple?" she asks and Snake frowns deeply. "The one you threw in that trash can back there," he states, and the girl gulps while rubbing her arms nervously. "Oh well, you see there's a very good explanation for that," the girl starts to say, and Snake raises his brow. "And I'd love to tell you all about it, but..." the girl then says, and quickly shouts aloud "bye," before running off, Snake shaking his head, before running after her. Falling on the girl's tail, Snake instantly notices that she's done this before from the way she's managing to stay just out of reach. Just like Jill. He thinks with a frown while moving between people, and soon following the black-haired girl down a long alley. Rushing after the girl, Snake rolls his eyes as she quickly climbs up and over a fence behind it, then blows a raspberry at him. Frowning, Snake crouches down, then lunges forward, kicking off the fence into the wall at his side, then flipping over the fence to crouch behind a now utterly shocked and surprised girl. "Cool," she says with shock, and Snake smirks while standing up and walking over to place a hand onto the girl's shoulder. "I'm in trouble now, aren't I?" she asks, and Snake merely raises a brow and gives her a look as if to say "what do you think" to her silently, thus making her grimace. "Got a name, kid?" Snake then asks as he cracks his neck while leading the girl down and out of the alley. "And yell Phantom, but call me Donnie, with an I." Donnie offers simply while pouting slightly as she's let out of the alley by the old cop. Tartarus HQ. Naruto sat with Gizmo, looking at the tiny terror as he continued to go on and on about the new modifications he was going to make to the X suit. "Gizmo, I don't really care what you do to the suit, but I have got to say at this rate I'll have gone through 100 different suits by the time I'm 20. Naruto states with a frown, and Gizmo blinks a few times. "You're 17. He reminds, and Naruto smirks in response. "My point exactly," he states, and Gizmo scoffs, before crossing his arms. "Yeah, well at least I'm nice enough to help you with this shit. The least you could do is humor me." Gizmo reminds the blonde-haired ex-shinobi, and Naruto waves that off while Gizmo mutters under his breath. "So what have you figured out about Pinky?" Naruto then asks with a frown on his face, and Gizmo sighs. "Her tech is custom for one thing. So whoever she is, either she made it or has contact with someone who made it for her." Gizmo offers, and Naruto nods his head slowly with a hum as he rubs his chin. "Any way of tracking her?" he asks, and Gizmo licks his lips for a moment. "Besides knowing her next target?" Gizmo asks with a raised brow, and Naruto grunts, while rubbing his face. "Yeah, like finding out where she goes after her heists." Naruto offers, and Gizmo snorts while turning back to his computer. "Not really, I've checked everywhere for leads on this chick, other than being sneaky as hell, and having access to some nice tech. There's really not that much to go on with her, identity-wise at least." Gizmo offers with a grumble, and Naruto reaches up, and rubs his chin for a moment, a frown on his face. "Then I'm going to go check on something else," Naruto offers before making his way out of Gizmo's workshop, one hand cupping his chin as he wonders what he should do next. "I could probably train a bit, but that wouldn't be really necessary. I'm already at my physical peak, though I could stand to learn a few more jutsu or chakra manipulation techniques." Naruto muses to himself while making his way towards his room with a frown. The truth was, Naruto didn't really know that many jutsu. Sure, he was dangerous, and he'd beaten Uchiha Madara, but he wasn't that well versed in jutsu. He knew the Rasengan and its variations, though it was a given that he was a master of wind manipulation, Kage Bunshin and some of its variations, Kage Henge, Kawamari, Senjutsu, Senimodu, Sage Technique, Sage Mode, Chidori and its variations, his 1000 Blades Jutsu, his Makukaten, Hirashin no Jutsu, the classic Leaf Shunshin, Kage Shuriken Jutsu, and Kuchius no Jutsu, which seemed to be useless in this world anyways. All in all, he knew about 24 jutsu, and that was it. So if you thought about how many jutsu most other ninja knew, that wasn't too many. "Hey, Tempest," Jinx calls out while rushing to her friend leader, and the boy blinks before looking at her with a raised brow. "What do you need, Jinx?" he asks the pink cat, and she grins at the blonde. "I was wondering if you might like a light spar," she offers, and Naruto hums in thought, before smirking at the girl. "Sounds like fun," he admits, and Jinx grins, before flipping backwards, before leaning against the door to his whole room. "You coming?" she quips with a smirk, and Naruto grins towards her, while walking to the door as well. Someone's in a good mood today, he notes, and Jinx shrugs her shoulders with a strange look on her face. "Oh well, what kind of spar?" Naruto offers, then asks, and Jinx takes a thoughtful expression for a few moments, allowing Naruto to pull on his mask. "How about we go with agility and speed over strength this time? And none of that chakra shit, temp, a fair race, and fight." Jinx offers then states and Naruto smirks while nodding his head and punching a code into the keypad below the door, setting the holographic environment they will be using. After you. Naruto offers with a wave and Jinx smirks, before walking into the holographic imaging chamber. Upon entering, Jinx blinks then looks over to Naruto with a raised brow upon seeing what looks like a wall with a large door. This simulation is a series of rooms with different obstacles. The further in we go, the more difficult they become. All of them are based after real-life traps, surveillance and so on for maximum training, with the equipment encountered on a stealth mission. Naruto offers an explanation and Jinx gives a low whistle in response. Nice, no wonder you're so good with traps and such. She says and Naruto shrugs, before cracking his neck and crouching down, Jinx's eyes lighting up as she does the same beside him. Ready? She says to the blonde who chuckles as he answers. Set. He offers and both look forward with a grin. Go? They both say at the same time before rushing forward, the doors opening up to show a long stretch of rooftops. Now this looks like it's going to be fun. Jinx comments with a smirk and Naruto chuckles lightly in response while running beside of her. This is only the easy part. Naruto reminds before narrowing his eyes and rushing past Jinx, the Pincat smirking as she then runs forward as well. You're pretty fast temp, but don't forget I hold the hive record for track and field. Jinx reminds with a smirk while lunging past Naruto and jumping over to the next building. Behind the Pincat Naruto chuckles lightly to himself response. Oh, now I'm feeling motivated. Naruto says as he lunges forward, jumping to the next building, while rushing after Jinx. Passing the girl with a chuckle, Naruto sees a target up ahead, shaped like a glowing red beam hitting a circle with an X in it. Giz, we seriously need to talk about the whole X-shaped shit you put everywhere for me. Naruto thinks to himself with a slight frown, before blinking as Jinx flips over him with a laugh, and bounces over to the next building. Too slow temp. Jinx calls out to the boy, and Naruto narrows his blue eyes. Oh, no, you don't. He grumbles before lunging forward, jumping over to the next building, and then narrowly sliding ahead of Jinx and landing on the target. Hey. No fair, I call foul. Jinx says and Naruto chuckles in response. No one likes a sour loser, Jinx. Naruto quips as the area around them suddenly shifts, becoming a large area with numerous steel beams here and there, most for jumping and climbing, surveillance cameras around the room. If we get seen by the cameras, the gauntlet instantly cuts off. Naruto offers and Jinx grimaces slightly, before sculling her features and crouching. You ready? She asks and Naruto nods his head with an amused look on his face, as both then lunge forward, Naruto jumping onto a beam and flipping over to another, to avoid the camera's view before running up the side to the upper level. Jinx however jumps up, then runs upward slightly with her momentum before jumping up and grabbing a beam as well, then flips up onto it, and looks to see Naruto clapping. Impressive. He allows before turning on his heel and making for the target, Jinx blinking before lunging after him, jumping from beam to beam with Naruto just ahead of her. Don't think I'm going to make this easy on you, temp. Jinx suddenly calls out with a smirk and Naruto chuckles. Wouldn't have it any other way. He calls back as he and the girl rush forward, Jinx suddenly flipping onto his back then leaping off of him, and into the goal, grinning as she lands, and Naruto slides to a stop on the target with a frown on under his mask. Hey, you said you didn't want me to make it easy. Jinx offers with a smirk as the area around them changes once more, Naruto rolling his eyes before cracking his neck, and getting ready for the next leg of the race. This next one is going to be a lot harder than getting to high ground, Jinx, so be ready. Naruto states flatly and Jinx nods her head while crouching down and licking her lips with a sly look on her face. However, her eyes suddenly widen as the room changes, and she looks down to see what could very well be a 50-foot drop. Oh shit, how does Gizmo do this shit? Jinx can't help but wonder, and Naruto chuckles to himself. Now we're getting into aerial maneuverability. The walls have laser beams, don't let them hit you or the gauntlet cuts out. Also, dodge falling debris, it has sensors on it, so that if you're caught under it, the gauntlet cuts out, but use the debris to block the view cameras would have you or. Naruto explains and Jinx cuts in before he can finish, looking at him with a slight annoyed expression. The gauntlet cuts out. I get it already temp. Let's just go. Jinx says before suddenly jumping down into the chasm, Naruto cursing before following after the Pincat with a frown under his mask. What has got her being so playful today? Naruto wonders to himself before then bringing his arms to his side and jetting down, past a startled Jinx. Landing on a falling crate he turns to give the girl a mock salute, and she narrows her pink cat-like eyes. Grabbing a nearby crate she rides down as well, jumping over and around the lasers, while also ducking around the crate when she approached any cameras. Once she had ridden the box to a clear section however, Jinx jumped off the box then past Naruto, the young thief frowning as she does so. Seriously, what has gotten into this girl today? I've never seen her so determined to beat someone in my life. Naruto thinks to himself, before moving downward after Jinx, kicking off the bottom of the crate he'd been on for extra momentum. Soon catching up to the Pincat, Naruto and she both soon come to the final part of the fall. It was unfortunate, however, that only a singular hole was placed into a large net of lasers, leading down into the next target, which was only a few feet wide. As if Gizmo couldn't make this even more annoying. Jinx mumbles before hearing something and gapes upon seeing something coming down towards them, namely, what appear to be large falling shards of glass. You just had to jinx it. Naruto mutters before jetting past the girl towards the target. Growling, Jinx then moved down after him, grabbing him in a hug at the last second, and causing both to land on the target, the room's holograms changing a second before the shards would have impaled them. Well, that was certainly close. Jinx mutters while Naruto twitches, then gets out of Jinx's grasp and looks around. So what's next? Jinx asks and Naruto narrows his eyes while the room changes once more. Based on how far I usually get, I'd say this is the last level of the gauntlet, which some call the corridor of pain. Naruto offers with a shrug, and Jinx looks at her leader with a raised brow. Why is it called that? She asks, not sure she really wants to know, and Naruto chuckles before crossing his arms as the room suddenly shifts. This time the two see a long corridor, however, Jinx gapes when she sees the floor looks odd. The walls have laser wires crisscrossing through it, and security cameras lined here and there. Holy shit. Jinx offers and Naruto chuckles to himself. Yeah. Giz went a little overboard on this one. The floor has two different tiles, the gray ones are pressure sensors, and the white ones aren't. The laser tripwires are constantly moving, so you have to find a way to see them. And there are cameras at most of the corners. Also, there are some parts of the floor that will fall down into an underground holding pin. Basically, I find this level to be one of my favorites, Naruto says with a grin, and Jinx looks at him like he's completely crazy. Favorite? But how the hell would you get through this shit? She demands, and Naruto chuckles to himself. 1. I have a helmet with inferred vision. 2. I'm a former ninja. 3. I love a challenge. And 4. I can teleport. Naruto reminds the girl, before flipping backwards into the array of wires and traps with a laugh. Why that lousy? Jinx grumbles to herself before then looks around herself and grins upon spotting a ventilation duct. Jumping up to it and using her hex powers to make the screws come loose, the girl then moved into the duct and began to crawl through it with a smirk on her face. Temp has to do everything the hard way because it's a challenge. Me, I like the shortcuts in life just fine. Jinx muses to herself while crawling through the vents, wondering if she's going the right way. Meanwhile, Naruto is flipping and rolling around the rising and lowering lasers down the hole. Weaving around the pressure-sensitive pads and under the cameras, the blonde-haired thief chuckles when he finally sees the final goal. Ha, and no sight of. Naruto starts to say, only for Jinx to kick open the last vent and look out before giving an amused wave towards Naruto. Oh, come on. Naruto grumbles before lunging past Jinx, the girl blinking then jumping after him. You know this isn't a competition, right? Jinx offers and Naruto chuckles. Yeah. But I don't like being second. Naruto offers while passing the girl, and Jinx frowns, before lunging at him, causing both of them to trip and roll into the goal. Naruto landing over Jinx as the gauntlet shut off. Well, guess you weren't second. Jinx offers with a smirk, before blinking and looking at how they'd ended up. So you caught me, now what are you going to do with me? The pinkhead asks with a cheeky grin, and Naruto blinks for a few moments, before looking at how they'd ended up. A second later Naruto got up and brought Jinx up as well before looking at her with his arms crossed. We never speak of this again. Naruto states, and Jinx blinks before taking a thoughtful expression. Maybe. She says, and Naruto rolls his eyes, while making his way to the exit, only to stop and turn towards the girl at the door. Also, blue today. Nice. Naruto offers while leaving the room with a laugh, and Jinx blinks, then her eyes widen before growling. Ugh. Why do I wear skirts around that boy? Jinx demands with a blush coloring her cheeks with a twitch of her eyes. Because you like him. A voice offers, and Jinx blinks, before then looking around and spotting Dwayla sitting down, her hands under her chin and still dressed like the Riddler's daughter. Dwayla, shut up, what do you know about anything? Jinx mutters towards the violet-eyed redhead with a frown and said girl snickers. My psychiatrists all say that I'm bipolar, delusional, and obviously insane, but I'm not blind. Dwayla offers with a grin before getting back to her feet and walking off, whistling to herself as she does and twirling her cane. Watching the girl leave, Jinx shakes her head for a moment, before following her out of the room. She's batshit crazy, I swear. Jinx says mostly to herself while the doors to the holo room close behind her. Jump City. This boy is walking into the mall, shuffling nervously as he heads over to the place he and Kitten were meeting up. The green changeling was currently dressed in a pair of black jeans with a purple shirt and his normal shoes. Okay, calm down, she's just a girl, she liked talking to me, so she isn't going to freak about me being furry. She isn't going to call me a geek for wanting to see this movie, since she does too. I can do this. I can do this, boy, I sure hope I can do this. This boy thinks to himself worriedly, his nerves really starting to get to him as he sees Kitten sitting down at the table they were earlier. Hey Kitten. Beast Boy offers with a wave to the blonde, and she blinks, then gives a small wave to him with a smile. Hey BC. Almost didn't recognize you out of uniform. Kitten muses with air quotes, and Beast Boy chuckles to himself nervously. Yeah. I've actually got tons of clothes, but I never really have a chance to wear any of them. Beast Boy admits while rubbing the back of his neck, and Kitten stands up, and he sees what his date is dressed in. The girl is wearing a pink tank top, with a pair of simple black shorts, with a gray belt looped around her waist, and a pair of white pink sneakers. You don't need to stare at me like that, Beastie. I'm not going to vanish into thin air on you. Kitten quips with a smirk and a wink, and Beast Boy blushes brightly in response, causing the girl to snicker. Yeah, well, I just never figured you the type to wear black. Beast Boy admits, and Kitten looks down at her shorts before smirking. Well, black goes good with almost any color, Beastie, even pink, and pink is my favorite color. Kitten offers while walking to stand next to the green teen, then takes a thoughtful expression before snapping her fingers. Wait 1 second. She then says to the boy, and sees him give her a confused stare. Smiling to him, the girl then brings her fingers into, and then down along her blonde locks, instantly causing her hair to change, Beast Boy gaping as she then covers her eyes with one hand, and then pulls them away. Revealed is that her hair is now wild, spiky, and a strange pink color. Her eyes are no longer soft, instead they seem more feral and dangerous. Her iris also looked odd, appearing slightly larger than normal, and seemed to be pupil-less, and has numerous small diamond shapes, all the same azure color of her normal eyes, while the whites somehow remained. Once finished with that, the girl then ran a finger along her lips, turning them deep red, and then along her nails, turning them all jet black, while allowing them to form into sharp claws. Can't have a titan being seen with the daughter of a known criminal, she states while finishing the changes, and Beast Boy frowns slightly. I wouldn't care, he states, and Kitten rolls her azure blue compound eyes and kisses his cheek in response. Nice sentiment, Beastie. But I really don't want your friends to find out, especially Robin or Starfire. Kitten states, and Beast Boy blinks and looks at her strangely for a few moments. Why? He asks, and Kitten grins nervously in response. Well, let's see now. I force Robin into taking me on a date, check. I piss off Starfire on said date, check. My dad is a known criminal, and an enemy of the Batman himself, check. I'm not exactly known for being Miss Goody Two-Shoes, check. And last but certainly not least, Beastie, Robin and Starfire both hate me. Kitten offers with a sigh, and Beast Boy grins nervously before something registers in his mind. Dude, your dad actually took on Batman? Beast Boy asks, and Kitten rolls her eyes in response. Yeah. The glamour of that is way too old though, Beastie. He was nothing but a second-string villain compared to the Bat's usual rouges. He was kind of like Tallyman, Ratcatcher, Catman, or even Calendar Man. Kitten offers offhandedly, then moves her fingers through her formerly blonde, now dark pink locks. Dude, I have got to ask, why pink? Beast Boy asks, and Kitten rolls her eyes before smiling towards the boy in response. Like I said, Beastie, pink is my favorite color, and I have a friend at school with pink hair. Kitten offers casually while then walking off, placing a slight sway to her hips to get Beast Boy's attention. Whoa? Beast Boy says to himself, before shaking his head and rushing after his date. Then what about your eyes? I mean, they look really cool and all, but... Beast Boy then wonders, while walking with the girl, and Kitten rolled her eyes in response. First of all, my eyes are compounded. I can see things faster than normal, in more directions, and I can even see in some other light spectrums. Kitten offers with a smirk and sees a shocked look cross over Beast Boy's face. Secondly, remember when I said I'd be made fun of for my real looks? She asks, and Beast Boy nods his head in response. Well, surprise, Beastie. You're looking at the real me. Well, if I was still blonde and hadn't messed with my lips at least. I get my eyes from my dad. Kitten offers with a shrug, and Beast Boy gapes towards the girl as she gives him a familiar fanged grin. Dude, I think you look awesome. Beast Boy offers with a grin, and the former blonde grins and places an arm over Beast Boy's shoulders. Thanks, Beastie. That really means a lot. Kitten offers and kisses the boy's cheek once more, causing him to turn crimson yet again. So, can you use the powers of the things you turn into? Beast Boy then asks, and Kitten shakes her head back and forth. Nope, I can only use the general skills of changing my form. Basically, I can't do any superhuman feats. Sure, I can grow wings, I can make myself as strong or as fast as humanly possible, use cat-like or compounded eyes for different visions, but I can't make myself any more than human at my base. I can make my appearance be that of Wonder Woman, or even that of Starfire or Raven, but I wouldn't have their powers or abilities. Just their appearance, since I can't become an actual Tamaranian, Amazon, or whatever Raven is. Kitten explains to the green-furred changeling, whom has a look of realization come over his features. Oh, I get it, so you're strictly a metamorph. You morph, but you can't truly change what you are. Hence why you're never able to turn into a boy, an animal, or a non-living thing. Beast Boy muses mostly to himself, and Kitten smirks slightly in response, while nodding her head. Yep. That's also why I can limit my powers to changing only small things, rather than having to fully change all the time if I don't like the way I look or something. Kitten offers and Beast Boy nods his head slowly. He sometimes wished he could do something like that. Combine the aspects of some his animal forms for a more powerful one that is. BC. Hello. Are you still breathing? Kitten suddenly asks while waving a hand before Beast Boy's face, causing him to blink, then grin nervously. Sorry. I kind of space out like that at times. Beast Boy offers the girl with obvious embarrassment, and Kitten merely rolls her eyes. Yeah, well, we might want to hurry to theater now. Unless you want to miss the movie that is. Kitten reminds and Beast Boy grabs her wrist and pulls her with him. The girl rolling her eyes in response as she runs with Beast Boy towards theater in town. Behind them, a familiar girl with pink hair and green eyes slowly stands up before groaning. She is wearing her normal shinobi gear at the moment, though wisely chose to leave her tanto and kunai behind, so no one would notice them. Why am I even doing this again? She wonders before rubbing her head as her inner self makes herself known. Because that ass Kakashi told you to follow her and make sure she did her job or something like that. Maybe he's just looking for a reason to get you out of his hair. The inner self offers with obvious boredom in her tone, while also testing Sakura's mental defenses for any and all weaknesses. Oh, right, then why does my head hurt? Sakura then wonders as she nearly falls over before shaking her head and making her way after the two. As she does, inner Sakura continues her work. Many times before when she threatened Sakura with taking control, she only did so as threats. Now however, she was fully prepared to return to the outside of her mind, if it meant finally being free of her stupid outer self's numerous rotten decisions. Hehe, bitch, you better enjoy freedom while you still can. I'm coming home soon, and nothing you can do is going to stop me. Inner suddenly thinks wickedly, a twisted grin formed over her lips as she then looks over the numerous locks she'd made. These locks were only to keep Sakura stupid, keeping any of her truly dangerous skills under heavy lock and key. She knew them in other words, just couldn't remember them. Once Inner had Sakura buried in the deepest darkest pits of her mind, she'd release those locks and kick the ever-loving shit out of anyone who got in her way. Groaning suddenly, Sakura places a hand to her head before slowly making her way after Beast Boy and Kitten. Moving her shaky legs and wishing that one of the others could have been made to do this, but no, Sasuke just had to say it'd be helpful, and she just had to volunteer. Snake is sitting at a restaurant in town. The place is called McMeaty's or something, and is extremely greasy and utterly filthy. Snake had merely ordered a hamburger and fries, while Donnie had gotten a meal with several things, including some fries, a drink, some chicken fingers, and of course, she had to have a burger as well, seeing as she was just starving to death. Sitting in front of Snake is Donnie with her food and drink, eating like she truly might be starving, now in some new clothes that he had bought for her. First off, she now wore a new red hat, which was nearly identical to her old one, with a blue band in her hair to hold it back in a ponytail, a black t-shirt with a blue oval-shaped spiral placed on the center of her chest, a new blue hoodie that had a zipper for the front which was currently open. A pair of red shorts again, only new, a pair of white socks sticking out of her new blue sneakers with white spots at her ankles, and a black ribbon tied around her throat. Why did you buy night stuff? The girl suddenly asks with her mouth full, and Snake smirks and chuckles lightly in response. Try asking me when your mouth isn't full of food. Snake offers with an amused tone, and Donnie blinks then blushes as she then swallows the food in her mouth with a contented sound. I was asking why you bought me new clothes, and a meal. Donnie asks once more, and Snake rolled his eyes, before leaning back in his chair. I felt like it. He offers in response, and Donnie looks at him funny. So do you help every little street urchin you see just walking around town, or am I an exception? The black-haired girl asks the man, and he rolls his eyes in response. Nah. I think I have a soft spot for hard luck cases. My daughter Jill was an orphan who stole stuff and lived on the streets as well. Snake offers with air quotes at the daughter part, and then leans back into his seat. Really? Weird. Donnie muses before shrugging her shoulders. Oh well, like they always say, never look a gift horse in the mouth. Donnie muses before starting to eat once more, Snake rolling his eyes as he watches her devour anything she can. Don't you have any kind of manners? The man asks her and she blinks. No. Besides, I'm an orphan, so it's allowed. Donnie then states with an amused look and a smile in her eyes, before starting back up. Honestly, you're less girly than even Jill. Snake mumbles and Donnie twitches for a moment before getting back to her food. However, Snake noticed this and couldn't help raise a brow before narrowing his eyes. Donnie had an odd little code tattoo on her neck, just below her jawline. Haven't seen one of those for a while. And what's the code itself? DCDFCS 72034. Curious. Snake inwardly reads to himself, while staring at the code intently. What, do I have something on my face? Donnie suddenly asks, and Snake blinks then smirks as she does indeed have food all over her face. Yeah. A lot of food. He offers and the girl grabs a reflective object, a napkin dispenser no less, and blushes brightly seeing her face. Chuckling nervously, the girl then reaches for some napkins, and starts to wipe off her face. So what's with that tattoo on your neck? Snake then asks, and Donnie stops and looks at him funny. I don't have a tattoo on my neck, do I? she says, then asks, and Snake rolls his eyes, before pointing to the code tattoo at the back of her jawline, just below where her ear was. Blinking, the blue-eyed girl uses the napkin dispenser, and moves it to look at her neck. Straining slightly, she grimaces upon seeing the barcode on her neck. Oh, I've never actually noticed that before. Donnie admits, also inwardly cursing seeing as she'd never been around mirrors long enough to see it, and her dad was a teenager who wouldn't be able to notice it seeing as he didn't notice much of anything, if it wasn't pointed out to him. That's odd. So I guess we'll say it was given to you without your consent, without your prior knowledge, and that it is probably a branding or a marker of some sort in that regard. Snake muses and Donnie nods her head slowly with a grimace. It's probably my production number and identification code. She can't help but think to herself bitterly, while Snake rubs his chin. That I can understand. What I don't get is how it glows green like that. It's kind of spooky actually. Snake suddenly says, then admits, and Donnie blinks, then raises a brow, wondering how no one else ever noticed a glowing green code just below her jaw and ear on the right side of her neck. Tartarus HQ. Naruto is lying back on his bed, a confused expression on his face. What was up with Jinx in there? He wonders to himself and suddenly has the feeling that someone somewhere in the universe is calling him clueless. Ignoring that odd feeling, Naruto sighs, then closes his eyes before noticing a weight beside him on the bed. Kara-chan, we seriously need to talk about announcing yourself before just dropping in like that. Naruto says while moving his head to see Raven, and the girl rolls her eyes in response. Not really my thing. Besides, I like to keep you on your toes. Raven offers her boyfriend with a smirk, and Naruto chuckles lightly in response. I'm starting to rub off on you, Kara-chan. He notes and Raven blinks then shudders mock seriously. Maybe I really do visit you too often. Raven uses while Naruto gets up and wraps his arms around her, placing his chin on the top of her head with a smirk. Or maybe I'm worrying too much about it. Raven then says softly, while leaning back, and Naruto can't help but chuckle. So what brought you here anyways? He asks and Raven rolls her eyes in response. This boy is on a date, and the others decided to follow him. She offers and Naruto is silent for a moment before getting up. Where are you going? Raven asks and Naruto turns to give her a flat look. I need to go check and see if hell froze over recently. He offers while getting up, grabbing his mask and making his way out of his room, Raven biting her lip and following after him, so she won't laugh and make something of his explode. Following after her boyfriend, the violet-eyed girl found herself walking behind him as he pulls his mask on while heading for the garage. Naruto, I'm being serious. Raven offers as she follows after her boyfriend, and the boy nods his head slowly. Beast boy. I'm going to go and check up on him. Naruto states flatly while opening the garage, and Raven blinks. Why? She asks the boy, and he stops before turning to look at her. He reminds me of myself at that age, and we both know how that eventually turned out. Naruto states darkly, and Raven frowns, easily able to see several parallels between him when he was younger and the Green Jester, and that did somewhat frighten Raven, considering how Naruto left Konoha. Shaking her head, Raven also remembered such a betrayal had technically already befallen Beast Boy, though now that she thought about it, what Terra did was more like when Sasuke betrayed Konoha. Naruto, you do know that Beast Boy can handle himself. Raven reminds her boyfriend as Naruto gets onto his X cycle and then sighs. I know. But I don't want him going through what I had to. Naruto states while looking to his girl, and Raven sighs, though can't help wonder why he was suddenly so generous. There's only enough room in this town for one of me after all. The thief then offers with a humorous tone, and Raven gives him a look, before shaking her head, and getting on behind him, a small smile hidden as she does. Wait, you coming now? Naruto asks with a confused tone, and Raven nods her head matter-of-factly. This boy is one of my friends. He's kind of like the annoying little brother I never wanted nor needed. So if anyone breaks his heart, I personally get to stuff them into a nightmare world from whence there's no return. Raven states flatly with her eyes flashing crimson, and Naruto chuckles to himself before firing the X cycle up. Alright, then hold on tight, Kara-chan. This is going to be a bumpy ride. Naruto calls out with a laugh before his bike goes screaming into the night, heading for Beast Boy and Kitten at high speeds. Theater. Beast Boy and Kitten walk into theater, the green teen explaining his most recent adventures with the team. Hidden from them is 3 pairs of eyes watching them intently. First is Robin, then Cyborg, and last is Starfire, all of whom are wearing their Cyvies at the moment. Robin's was a pair of sunglasses, a grey sleeveless shirt, a pair of black pants with his steel-capped boots, and a pair of black fingerless gloves, a few weapons stowed away into hidden places in the black leather jacket he was wearing. Man, who is that chick? Cyborg wonders while watching Beast Boy and Kitten get their tickets before going to their theater. Frowning as he thought she looked somewhat familiar, Robin reached up to rub his chin before looking to Starfire. Ever seen her before, Star? He asks, and Starfire instantly shakes her head. In all my time at the mall of shopping and visiting the many places around the city for girls, I have yet to make the acquaintance of this girl with pink hair or that one. Starfire says then adds, while pointing to a pink-haired girl, namely one Haruno Sakura, who was stumbling to theater with a hand on her head. 2. Oh man, and I thought pink hair was rare. Cyborg grumbled while thinking of Jinx, and Robin frowned to himself, knowing that a pink pigmentation of the hair was rare if not impossible for a normal human being. Something is wrong here, she's following them. Robin states, and Star and Cyborg both look to their leader with confused expressions. Please, why do you think the pink-haired girl with the obvious migraine is following friend Beast Boy and his date? Starfire asks the boy wonder, and Robin sighs before pinching the bridge of his nose, wondering for the millionth time why he was the only one on the team to notice these things. 1. She was following them because she only went in after she made sure they couldn't see her. 2. She's following them because of the fact she instantly got a ticket for the same movie as them. 3. She's following them because I can read lips, and she's muttering about having to follow the green bean baka under her breath. Robin explains, and Cyborg frowns, while a computer translation appears in his eye for the word baka seconds later. Japanese for idiot, sounds about right. Cyborg muses aloud, then smirks, and Robin rolls his eyes, before making his way over to the ticket teller. I'll get us all some tickets for the movie as well, if you guys want snacks or something, hurry up. We finally got 2 suspects for who Pink X could be now, and I really don't want to lose them, before I can confirm my suspicions. Robin states, and Cyborg frowns, while scratching his head. How's that? Cyborg asks, and Robin sighs. 1. The first pink-haired girl, Beast Boy's date, she likes horror. Pink X wears a horror-based costume. I should know, I designed Red X costume based on fear more than anything. Thus it can stand to reason that she might have a flair for horror, and merely wanted that costume because of that, rather than using it to attract Red X out of hiding as I originally believed. 2. She has several very odd features that Pink X would want to hide beyond her hair, namely her eyes, teeth, and her claws. 3. Beast Boy's date has almost the exact same body structure as Pink X, which I find highly unusual. Robin explains with a frown, while cracking his neck. 4. That other pink-haired girl was following Beast Boy, meaning she might expect X to follow him or us, and wants to find him, thus might be the one with the Harley Quinn complex, rather than the first girl. 5. Her body structure, while built for power and less speed and agility, shows that she's had more training than a civilian should. Thus, the Pink X suit could be nothing more than a way to give herself greater agility. And lastly, if it isn't that, the girl wants to follow Beast Boy for another reason, possibly even to kidnap him in order to get to us. Robin offers while ticking off fingers, then makes his way over to the ticket seller, leaving Cyborg and Star to look at one another for a few moments. How does he do that? Cyborg asks Starfire, the alien girl shrugging her shoulders in response as the titanium teen sighs. Come on Star, let's get some snacks, this is going to be one of those nights. Cyborg states with a sigh, and Starfire nods while wondering which of the many sugar candies she may wish to partake in. Elsewhere, Jinx sighs to herself while walking towards an old house in the bad part of town. It's not hers obviously, if she had a house, she makes sure it was much nicer than this rundown old wreck. Walking to the door, she knocks on it for a few moments, then watches as it opens, only to blink upon seeing a girl with black hair and bright azure-colored eyes like Naruto's. Yo. The girl suddenly offers with a wave of one hand, said hand clutching a drink with a straw which she then partakes in. Do I know you? Jinx asks, and the girl blinks, before shaking her head. Name's Danielle Phantom, but call me Donnie, with an I. Donnie offers, and Jinx crunches her nose up for a few moments before making an O with her mouth. By any chance are you somehow related to that one Danny Phantom guy? She then asks, and Donnie twitches visibly while growling, clenching her hand onto her drink, and crushing the styrofoam cup, as her eyes flare bright neon green. Okay, I'll take that as a yes. Jinx muses as Donnie glares at her with the angry eyes on full force for a few moments. Sighing soon after, the girl's eyes fade back to azure blue, and she crosses her arms over her chest. What do you want anyways? Donnie then asks rudely, and Jinx glares at her. I'm here to see the old man. She states, and Donnie blinks then snickers. That's a new one, if you mean Officer Jack Snake Connors at least. Personally I'd just call him Pops. Donnie offers, and Jinx nods her head with a smirk, before then moving past Donnie, and into the house. Hey. You can't just go walking into other people's houses like that. Donnie says with a glare, and Jinx twists to look at her with a catty smile on her lips. I'm a criminal, I can do whatever the hell I want. She states, and then makes her way into the home, Donnie blinking for a moment, before following after her. Yo, old man, I need to talk to you. Jinx then calls out, and hears an annoyed grunt as Snake makes his way from the kitchen, wearing a black shirt, old camo pattern cargo pants, and black combat boots. I thought I told you to stop calling me that. Snake grumbles out irritably, and Jinx shrugs her shoulders with a catty smile on her lips. Anyways, Donnie, this is Jill Manx, aka Jinx, she's the girl I told you about. Snake offers while introducing Jinx, and Donnie blinks, before gaping at her. So wait, your name is Jill Manx? Donnie suddenly asks, and Jinx nods her head. And you go by Jinx? She then asks, and Jinx gives her a look in response. All you did was take the first 2 letters of your first name and last 2 of your last name and stick them together. Donnie then says incredulously, and Jinx blinks only once before shrugging her shoulders. You'd be surprised how often that works with secret identities. Most people are always so busy looking for a connection they'll never think of that. Jinx offers before turning around to see Snake sitting down in an old leather chair. Alright, what do you need to talk about? Snake then asks with an annoyed sigh, and Jinx blushes slightly before sitting down on his couch. Well, I'm kind of having relationship problems, she says, and Snake twitches slightly before leaning back and placing a hand over his face. And you're coming to me of all people for advice, he asks, and Jinx blinks before grimacing as she remembers how many of his relationships ended up as either one-night stands or just friendships. Then there was that one time a chick tried to kill him or something. What about Aunt Meryl? You two were really good together, Jinx offers, and Snake twitches while remembering his red-haired ex. Rule number 2. He grumbled out, and both Jinx and Donnie sighed before looking at him with the exact same expression on their faces. You retain the right to withhold personal information from anyone at any given time. They both chime in sync and then look at one another strangely, while Snake nods his head with a frown. Good. And that is one of those things, he grumbles out, and Jinx huffs. But seeing as you took the time to come down here, why don't you explain what's going on? Maybe Donnie can help you more than I can, Snake offers, and Jinx looks to the younger girl as she then flips over the back of the couch and lands on it, sighing happily as she then rests her arms behind her head to watch them. I have my doubts on that, Jinx says flatly before breathing in, then out. Alright, here's how it goes. I like my friend Red X, but he likes this other girl. Elsewhere, Naruto and Raven both stand on a building adjacent from theater, Naruto looking through the optic enhancers in his mask. They had been watching the building for the better part of the night, Raven leaning forward beside him, her chin resting in her hands as she dully watched on. So what do you think is going on in there? Raven suddenly asks while floating beside of Naruto with a bored expression, and the blonde takes a mock thoughtful expression. If it was you and me, alone in a dark theater, so many pleasing possibilities. Naruto muses humorously, while Raven gives him a glare with a blush on her cheeks. You're so cute when you're flustered, Naruto says with a chuckle, and Raven pulls her hood up over her head, while turning back to theater, Beast Boy and Kitten, both walking out at long last. What are the fucking odds she'd have pink hair? Naruto asks with a twitch, and Raven blinks before thinking about it. Given our luck thus far, pretty good, she admits, and Naruto raises a brow, cups his chin for a moment, then slowly nods his head, before narrowing his eyes as Sakura walks out behind the couple. And look who else decided to show up to the party uninvited, he notes, and Raven leans forward, only to frown darkly as she sees her boyfriend's bitch of an ex. Her, she notes, with enough venom to poison a cobra, and Naruto nods his head while the Titans walk out after the 3, all of them visibly shaking and pale. Ha, looks like that new one is even more scary than the one I saw, Raven notes with a shiver, and Naruto shakes his head, honestly wondering why anyone would want to be scared out of his or her mind. Shaking that thought off, he then places a foot up on the side of the building, watching as Sakura follows after Beast Boy and Kitten. What's she up to? Naruto wonders before crossing his arms, and then leans forward. I should probably check this out, Naruto notes while crossing his arms, and Raven looks at him strangely. You want to willingly walk out there with the bulk of my friends just waiting to kick your ass? She asks seriously with a brow raised in his direction, and Naruto frowns towards her in response. I've got a pink-haired banshee down there I need to expose. Even if she isn't really this pink ex-chick, I've got a good idea who is now, and I want to make sure at least one of the Konoha flunkies ends up in jail. Though I doubt they'll be able to hold her for very long since chakra technically isn't genetic like metahuman powers, Naruto explains, and then admits with a shrug, and Raven sighs before nodding her head. I'll go get myself lost while you do that. Just try not to be too hard on my friends, Raven says, then pleads, and Naruto chuckles lightly in response. No promises, Card-chan. Below. Man, when the monster ripped the heart out of that one girl then ate, it was just so wicked, Beast Boy suddenly says, and Kitten grins toothily, and given her row of sharp fangs, this isn't too surprising to the green jester. Ha. Yeah, that was cool, but I personally liked it when Wicked Scary made all the shadows around them come alive. It kind of reminded me of that Raven chick. Kitten replies with a wide grin, and Beast Boy nods his head. Yeah, Raven actually did that once after she saw the first movie, Beast Boy says, and Kitten gapes at him before grinning widely. Think you can convince her to make a haunted house for Halloween? Kitten questions, and Beast Boy suddenly pouts. I asked her the same thing, and in her own words, and I quote, I'm afraid not. Beast Boy replies, and Kitten pouts as well, then smiles and places an arm over Beast Boy's shoulders. You know, normally my boyfriends hate these kinds of movies. Kitten muses, and Beast Boy looks at her with a raised brow. Really? Why? He asks, and Kitten snorts. Most of them were primarily some kind of metahuman. A few found it offensive, and others just didn't like all the blood and gore. Kitten replies with a frown, and Beast Boy shakes his head. Yeah, well, I bet they were just too chicken to watch it. Beast Boy replies and Kitten laughs with a true smile on her face. Meanwhile behind the two is Sakura, her skin noticeably pale while inner Sakura can't help laugh. Oh, that movie was just killer. When I get control of this body I am so going to see that again. You just don't find killer thrills like that in Konoha, man, this world seriously has it all. Inner says happily while Sakura shivers and jumps at any of the shadows around her with white eyes. They don't have that kind of mediocre macabre fests back home because we have good movies. Sakura replies to her inner self only to cover her ears at her own thoughts. You're saying that was bad? Girl, that was the shit. I love random violence and macabre fests. Actually, now that I think about it, it reminds me of what I want to do to you. You're so asking for a pinky, I swear, what Naruto-kun never saw in a cheating, two-faced, pansy-ass bitch like you I'll never know. Inner suddenly rants and Sakura reaches up to rub her temples. Shut up Aine, I'm so sick of hearing how you'll banish me to the deepest darkest recesses of my mind someday. We both know you can't, because my will is still dominant. Sakura reminds flatly, and hears Inner start to rant, thus making her grunt, and never notice the three people listening to her behind her, and the one person sitting in a crouch above her with narrowed eyes. Aine. Oh yeah, I called her Inner Sakura that all the time so they would have two names. So she's actually trying to bust her way out and take control. Figures those two wouldn't see eye to eye and be fighting. I swear they're more like sisters than personalities inhabiting the same body. Wait, wasn't she starting to vanish last time I saw or heard her? Ha, looks like Sakura did something stupid, and she decided to fight for her right to stay. Naruto muses to himself with an amused look under his mask. Contrary to popular belief, Naruto was well aware of Inner Sakura, and had been since he was little actually. Having seen her arguing with her reflection in a stream of all things, when a second angry-sounding and more aggressive voice answered back from her own lips. However, he kept the fact that he knew under wraps as Sakura seemed ashamed of it, and this had been back when he had a crush on her. She eventually revealed Inner Sakura to him, when they had been going out for a month, and Naruto had affectionately dubbed her Aine as it was similar to Ichiraku's name, his second favorite girl in all of Konoha at the time. Inner seemed to like him, saying no one had ever been nice enough to give her a name, not even Sakura herself. Inner's anger, her rage, and much of her other flaws were piled-up emotions that Sakura had trouble expressing, but they had also somehow compounded to form her, a second personality within Sakura. Though it seemed that Inner started to mellow out after their meeting, and even wanted to speak to Naruto in person. Sakura didn't want to allow it, but Naruto, by some small act of kami, coaxed her into allowing it and found Inner didn't mind a lot of the things Sakura hated, one of which was allowing him to just hold her for a while. If he remembered correctly, Inner admitted to having fallen for him before she started to vanish. Shaking his head out of his reverie, Naruto narrows his eyes while watching the Titans follow Sakura, not Beast Boy and his date, but most definitely Sakura. Well, what do you know, looks like I won't even have to get involved after all. Won't Kar-chan be pleased that I didn't have to hurt her friends? Naruto thinks to himself while following them, blending in with the shadows with his Shadow Claw Taijutsu. Following them, Naruto also felt Raven was nearby and grinned, wondering how things were going to go till he saw Sakura rush towards Beast Boy and his date. Oh, looks like trouble. Naruto muses to himself while jumping to a rooftop and leaning forward in a crouched position to watch the show. Below the young nin, Sakura has finally had it. Her every nerve is frazzled, she's beyond tired, has a headache that you wouldn't believe, and to top it all off, Aine had started acting up all of a sudden. Thus, the pin cat could no longer take stealth, normally sure, but no, now she was pissed and tired. She couldn't take hearing Aine's mouth any longer, and just wanted to head back home, so she could finally try to get a good night's sleep. Stomping to the girl with the green gesture, Sakura quickly grabs her shoulder, then spins her around to face her. Sakura, what are you doing out here? Kitten asks upon seeing her and Sakura scowls deeply. I'm following you, we need to have a talk Kitten. She grumbles out irritably, and Kitten raises a brow while Beast Boy frowns. Something doesn't smell right with this chick, plus she looks terrible. Why would you admit to following us? Beast Boy finally asks, and Kitten bites her lip to keep from laughing, while Sakura balks at the boy before her eyes snap wide open upon getting a good look at the youngest Titan. Holy shit. He almost looks like a short green version of Naruto when he was still 16. Aine notes with a gaping jaw, and Sakura shakes her head, then glares at the green jester. Stay out of this you damn baka. Sakura shouts angrily, before slamming a fist into Beast Boy's face, and sending him flying back. Alright, that's all I need to know, she's an enemy. Nobody beats on Beast Boy like that while I'm around. Cyborg suddenly says while deactivating his hologram, a snarl on his face as he rushes towards the pink harpy. Turning to see him, Sakura growls, only for Kitten to quickly duck down and kick her feet out from under her. Kitten then twists into a flip and lands in a crouch before rushing over to check on Beast Boy. As she does, Cyborg throws a punch at Sakura, the pink cat quickly rolling out of the way, and mentally kicking herself for losing her temper. Ugh, what am I Naruto now? She wonders with disgust and hears a growl at the back of her mind. Naruto-kun doesn't lose his temper on innocent people asking a valid question, unlike you bitch. Ayane reminds angrily, and Sakura rubs her temples with a groan, her headache suddenly feeling 10 times worse. Shaking her head, Sakura curses as Starfire comes at her with a kick. Holding her arms up to block, Sakura is wide-eyed and fully awake when she is sent flying from the force of the alien's supercharge kick. Holy shit. How strong is that girl? Sakura wonders while Robin then comes at her, the Pinket gawking as he pulls out his bow staff and swings it at her. Growling, Sakura catches the weapon and glares at the black-haired martial artist vehemently. Oh, this is going to hurt. Robin notes and Sakura grins cruelly as she then twists on her heel and throws the boy wonder as Starfire, knocking both of them out of the air. Cursing, the girl then ducks under a blast from Cyborg's sonic cannon. What did I do to deserve this? Sakura suddenly wonders while wondering how she's supposed to take down a man made mostly out of metal. Do you want the whole list of reasons or would you prefer a summary? Ayane suddenly quips, a pair of wireframe glasses on her nose and a long scroll in her hand. Twitching violently at the mental image, Sakura roars as she lunges at Cyborg, rearing a fist back, before plowing it into Cyborg's stomach, somehow managing to push him back, and then grits her teeth, and rubs her sore knuckles. Cyborg however grunts as he notes a rather hand-shaped dent in his stomach, and makes a note to watch out for this chick. Back with Kitten, the girl rushes to Beast Boy's side, and helps him sit up, a bruise already forming on his face as well as the fact his eyes close, and seeming to blacken. Ow, what train just hit me? Beast Boy wonders, while Kitten looks at him worriedly, and then turns around in order to glare towards Sakura. One named Haruno Sakura, he's about to learn not to mess with me or my new boyfriend. Kitten growls out angrily, then stops as a shadow appears over them. Looking up, she is shocked to see Red X standing above them with his arms crossed. Meanwhile, Sakura flips back and into a low crouch, growling as Cyborg gets back up, and Starfire and Robin soon follow. Needs some help. A monotone voice quips as Raven appears from the shadows, eyes glowing white beneath her hood. Seeing this, Sakura hears a growl in her head, for once not directed at her. Great, now I have to cheer for the bitch who took my Naruto-kun, this is so bittersweet. Ayane grumbles out and Sakura screams in frustration, the combination of sleep deprivation, migraine and Ayane's own bitching, starting to make her lose it big time. Honestly, Kami-sama, what the hell have I done to deserve this? I'm tired, I've got a headache like someone hit me with a sledgehammer, and I've been arguing with a stupid alternate personality all day, that wants to take over my body. I just wanted to talk to Kitten, then that green moron bugs me, I lose my temper and now all of you lousy circus freaks are trying to hurt me. Sakura suddenly erupts, nearly pulling her hair out as she does so, and Robin, Raven, Cyborg, and Starfire all growl angrily at the freak's comment she made about them. Cyborg, Star, and Raven more because of the fact they were not freaks, and Robin because he has old friends who were circus freaks. Titans, take her down, hard. Robin orders while throwing a bird airing at Sakura, the girl roaring as she's finally lost her very last frazzled nerve and lunges forward, under the bird airing and flips into an explosive dropkick, raising the ground around her up and causing Cyborg and Robin to fall down. Raven and Starfire fly over this, however, Raven using the rubble to her advantage and slamming a piece of asphalt into the Pinket, sending her skidding back. Starfire then flies above the girl, tossing several starbolts at her, only to be shocked when she vanishes in a plume of smoke, a piece of asphalt in her place. Where did she? Starfire started to question only to gasp as Sakura grabbed her from behind, then roared as she slammed a fist into Starfire's back, sending the girl slamming into the ground. Ha! Sakura says as she falls to the ground, then evade a piece of asphalt from Raven and glares at her. You're the idiotic goth bitch dating that moron Naruto baka. Sakura says while then slamming a fist into another piece of asphalt that was heading towards her, utterly and completely pulverizing it, while also choosing to ignore the deep scowl now on Raven's face. 1. I'm not a goth. 2. Naruto is anything but moronic. 3. Why do you even ask? Raven asks darkly and Sakura twitches while glaring at her. Because he's a moron, always has been, always will be, I can't even begin to imagine what you're doing with him. Hell, I actually thought he had better taste in women than you, but then again, this is Naruto. Sakura muses and Raven snarls, eyes flaring red as tendrils of black energy suddenly form from her cloak. Shit, is she related to that wicked scary monster? And if so, you are so dead. Wait, that means I'm dead too. Shit. Ayane comments then screams as a tendril of black energy snaps forward, slamming into the ground and ripping it open where Sakura had been a second ago. First of all, Haruno bitch. My name is Raven. Not goth. Second of all, Naruto is still my boyfriend, and if you badmouth him you have to deal with me. Raven growls out in a demonic hiss with a snarl on her face as she snaps her head around to Sakura, the pin kept paling while backing away from her. Third, at least I'll never cheat on him like a certain pink-haired harpy we both know. Raven growls out angrily, both Robin and Cyborg gaping at that little tidbit of information. What the hell are you? Sakura stutters out, feeling enough killing intent coming from the girl to easily match a demonically supercharged Naruto at the moment. At the question, Raven grins evilly, rows of razor-sharp fangs revealed in her mouth and making Sakura pale even more dramatically, while Leone feared for her life. "I'm your worst nightmare." Raven replies while lunging at Sakura, tendrils of ebony energy lashing out at her like whips. "Should we help her?" Cyborg asks while helping Robin up, and the boy wonder looks to Cyborg with an uneasy expression. "Which one?" he asks as Raven roars, opening her cloak and lashing out with a pair of now razor-sharp claws. "What's the matter?" Afraid of the dark, Raven demands with a nearly psychotic gleam in her eyes, and Cyborg cleared his throat. "A raven, I guess," Cyborg says, and Robin looks over to the battle, which now seems to consist of Sakura running away like her life depended on it, and given the fact that Raven now had 4 crimson red eyes glowing, that was pretty much assured. "Hold still and die." Raven screams and Robin reaches up to rub his head for a moment. "No. I don't think it's wise to get between Raven and the person she wants to destroy utterly at the moment." Robin replies with a nod of his head, and Cyborg nods in agreement with his leader, then winces as he sees Raven start to throw sharp rocks at the pink cat. "Let's go help Star, before we consider saving Pinky," Robin then says, and Cyborg nods his head. "I concur," he offers while fighting to hold back a grin as he and Robin evade the wrath-empowered Raven to get to Starfire's prone form. "You okay, Star?" Cyborg asks worriedly, then gapes at seeing a bruise actually forming on the alien princess's back. "That girl, she is stronger than she looks." Starfire groans out with a headache of her own, and Robin helps her back to her feet. "Thank you, Fried," Star starts to say, only to stop and stare at Robin for a moment. "You have the most beautiful eyes," she then says with a blush, and Robin's set electric blue eyes widen as he reaches up, and finds his sunglasses have more than likely been smashed. "Well, I guess the cat's out of the bag," Robin mutters while reaching into a pocket, pulling out a domino mask before placing it over his eyes. "Alright, now I feel better," Robin then says, and Starfire pouts, Cyborg gaping then grinning. "This boy is going to be so jealous that we saw your eyes. We actually saw what was under that mask. And after all the hell we went through that one time with trying to get you to take it off," Cyborg says before pumping a fist, and Robin looks at him with an annoyed frown. "Cyborg, shut up," Robin then says as he, Starfire, and Cyborg watch Raven as she tries to grab the pink-haired ninja with her powers, Sakura jumping and flipping out of her way. She's trained in martial arts and the same general arsenal of techniques as Red X. Robin notes with a frown, before seeing a green goat ram into Sakura, and slamming her into a building before Beast Boy then flips back as a monkey, and lands on top of Raven's head. "If you value your skin, runt, you will get off me now," Raven shouts, and Beast Boy quickly rushes over to the other titans, eyes wide as Raven then looks at Sakura with a cruel expression, only to stop and look up at a familiar chuckle. What they see is Red X, crouched down on top of the building above Sakura, his arms resting on his legs and his head tilted to one side. "Wow, looky here. Everyone's beating on the pink-haired bitch I love to hate so much," Naruto notes, a grin hidden behind his mask, then winks towards Raven, who can tell he is somehow, and starts to calm down. "Yep. Isn't that just one of the most wonderful sights you've ever seen in your life? Kind of gives you that warm fuzzy feeling inside, huh?" An unfamiliar synthesized and yet clearly amused female voice then quips, and the titans turn and see Pink X sitting beside of Red X, one leg over the other, and her cape flowing behind her, while one hand is resting against her chin. Pink and Red X in the same spot. This can't be a coincidence. Robin grunts out and Naruto chuckles while waving to Robin. "You kid," Batman says hi. Naruto offers and all is silent until Robin slaps his face. "You actually went to Gotham, dear lord. Doesn't Gotham have enough psychotic maniacs to deal with without having you there?" Robin demands, and Naruto takes offense to that. True, it does, but he's not psychotic himself. A klepto maybe, but not psychotic. "Kid, seriously, you're way out of line with that one. I'm nothing like those psychos in Gotham. Believe me, I know. I met a couple and one put a sledgehammer to my fucking skull," Naruto says while crossing his arms with a frown, and Robin concedes that he's not psychotic, he's just selfish. Maybe a klepto. As utterly interesting as this conversation is, maybe we could deal with Pinky down there before we forget she exists. Pink X offers her male double, and Naruto reaches up to stroke his chin with a hum. "Sounds good, doll," Naruto admits while flipping down to land, and Pink X slides down to land in a crouch beside him. "So Sakura, how does it feel to finally be on the receiving end of the powered punches and ticked off girls?" Naruto asks with an amused grin, while Pink X walks forward and grabs the front of Sakura's shirt, glaring into her eyes angrily once she has hold of her. "Fuck off." Sakura grumbles towards Naruto angrily and then winces as Ana starts shouting at her for it. Before she can attempt to deal with that, however, Pink X brings her practically nose to nose with herself, her masked eyes seeming narrowed onto the pink-haired nin. "Alright, listen up, Sakura." Pink X growls out in a low whisper to Sakura. "I'm done working with you ninja assholes. In fact, I'm done just being around you. It was fun while it lasted, but I think I'll keep the money you gave me, and do something constructive with it. So thanks for the loot, and I hope you get what you deserve. Pink X tells the other girl angrily before kicking Sakura, sending her flying away until she lands in the center of the Titans. Nice one. Naruto offers while crossing his arms, then tilts his head to evade an oncoming bird airing from Robin. Seriously kid, she's all yours. Me and Pinky here have to have a little a very long chat about stealing my luck. Naruto growls out before glaring over to Pink X, who shrugs her shoulders with a nervous chuckle, just before both vanish in a shimmer of light when Naruto places a hand onto her shoulder. Well, they got away. Raven notes and Robin nods his head with a frown, before walking over to Sakura. But she hasn't. He states, then flips back when a shuriken nearly pierces his skull, Kakashi appearing suddenly, quickly grabbing Sakura, then vanishing just as suddenly as he had come. Dude, where are all the ninja coming from? Beast Boy demands at this, and Robin grits his teeth in fury. I don't know, but they're more of a threat than either of the X, that's for sure. Robin grumbles out before cupping his chin. Raven, Naruto is a former ninja himself. I need to talk to him about these guys. They need to be stopped and fast. They're after something, and they're not letting anyone or anything get in their way. Robin says, and Raven nods her head, wondering how Naruto will take having to talk to Boy Wonder tomorrow. Say Beast Boy, how'd you get all better so quick? After a punch from that chick left Starfire nearly bruised, I'd say you'd look awful. Cyborg asks and Beast Boy frowns while scratching his head. You know, that's the weirdest thing. Red X used some glowing hands trick like Raven, and made me all better. Beast Boy offers and Robin blinks in surprise, then wonders what other tricks X has in his seemingly bottomless bag of them. Okay, then what happened to your date? Cyborg then asks and Beast Boy grins, while nearby Raven smirks to herself. I convinced her to hightail it out of here before she got hurt in the crossfire. Beast Boy offers with a grin and Cyborg nods his head. Starfire lunges at the green teen for details. As that happens, Raven shakes her head, knowing why Kitten had actually left since Naruto sent her the details. A shapeshifter hero and a metamorph thief, what are the odds? Raven wonders to herself as she makes her way towards the tower, glad she hadn't let her demonic power out too far, and she wouldn't have to get her hair again. Elsewhere, Naruto and Pink X both appear on top of a building on the outskirts of Jump City. Thanks for the lift, but did you have to be so convincing with the threat? Pink X questions of Naruto with a shiver, and the blonde thief shrugged his shoulders in response. The kid knows how I think. If I didn't make it sound real, he'd know I was lying. Naruto offers and Pink X nods while pulling her mask off, revealing Kitten and making the thief chuckle. What are the odds? He muses and Kitten looks at him strangely. Excuse me? She asks and Naruto chuckles once more. Oh, nothing, just thought of something funny. Naruto offers and Kitten hums to herself while heading over to her closet. So seriously, why Pink X? Naruto asks and the girl stops and looks at him with a smirk. I wanted to get my dad's attention. At first I made a whole bunch of costumes, just so I could do it too, you know, pull a Joker's daughter as it were. She admits and Naruto shakes his head from side to side, guessing what she meant seeing as he nude whale. I had this whole big idea where I do a bunch of crimes while disguised as the daughter of various enemies to the Titans, until he finally came out of the basement. But as you can probably guess, I had too much fun as Pink X, and just kind of stuck with it. Kitten admits while looking at the mask, then places it on her dresser, and turns to look at X with her arms crossed. So now I guess you want me to stop, huh? Kitten asks with a frown and Naruto hums for a moment, scratching his chin before chuckling to himself. Nah. He then says, surprising the girl greatly. I'd be a hypocrite if I did that. Just try and steer clear of Sasuke and the Konoha flunkies and I'll have no problem with the Pink X being in town. It could use a few more not psychotic criminals anyways. Naruto admits and Kitten smiles, while nodding her head. Thanks X. She offers and then sees Naruto cross his arms. Oh, before I forget, break Beast Boy's heart with this, and I'll break your legs. Naruto warns, and Kitten literally pales before clearing her throat and blushing. Why do you even care? She asks and Naruto sighs. Let's just say Beast Boy reminds me of me at that age, and I had my own heart broken once, and I don't want to see Beast Boy hurt like I was. After all, there's only room for one Red X in this town. Naruto finishes, and then says humorously, and Kitten slowly nods her head. Yeah. And you don't have to worry, I think I might really like him. Kitten says with a slight blush and Naruto chuckles lightly. Aw, that's so cute. Naruto mocks with both hands folded together, Kitten glaring at him. Alright. Hey, enough with the angry eyes already. I better be heading out anyways. Naruto says while getting up and Kitten crosses her arms over her chest, looking at the thief strangely. You're not like other villains. She states and Naruto turns his head and grins. Who said I was a villain? After all, good and evil to me they're just words. All I'm doing is following my own path. I'll let everyone else decide what little label to slap on me. Personally, I'm just a thief. Naruto offers before vanishing, leaving Kitten to ponder the strangely sage words he'd left behind him. Snakes. Donnie lay laughing on Sanki's couch, Jinx glaring at the girl with a blush while Snake shook his head. That ninja is seriously in trouble. I'm not even stupid enough to have girls like Jill come after me, but add onto that Raven, and you have a double team of super-powered death. The man thinks to himself as Donnie finally manages to gain control over her laughter. That sounds so much like Danny and Sam. It's not even funny. Donnie then says and Jinx decides she doesn't want to know whom these people are, while continuing to glare at her for laughing so long. Yeah, whatever. Got any ideas on helping her with her problem then, Donnie? Snake asks and Donnie blinks then frowns in thought, before promptly shrugging her shoulders. I'm 13, what do you honestly expect me to know about this stuff? She asks and Jinx nearly falls over while Sanki rubs his eyes. Right, never mind. He grunts out then looks over to Jinx. Jill, think you and your friends in Tartarus can handle Donnie here? I'm done taking care of street kids. Snake asks and Jinx snaps her head to her father figure, before narrowing her eyes. No? She states with a frown, and Snake gives her a pleading look. Seriously Jill, I'm getting too old to be taking in another super-powered street kid. Snake states and Jinx frowns, crossing her arms before looking over at Donnie, the girl yawning before then rubbing her eyes sleepily. And exactly what do I get out of this? Jinx demands of the man and Snake quickly tries to think up an excuse before smirking. How about I get in contact with my old military buddies and get your team some high-tech gear? Snake offers with a smirk and Jinx bites her lower lip, knowing how much Gizmo would annoy her if she didn't, and he found out about it. And also how the tech would probably be used by Gizmo to help Naruto. Fine, I'll take the brat in. Jinx finally concedes and Snake smirks, Donnie looking over to him with a strange expression. So let me get this straight. You who happen to be a cop who defends the law, is not only allowing a young and impressionable-minded girl with supernatural powers to be taken in by a bunch of known criminals and thieves, but also giving them government tech just to take care of said impressionable girl. Donnie asks and Snake nods his head, as if it was the simplest thing in the world to understand. Well, I actually like stealing things for a living. Do the words, does not compute, mean anything to you? Donnie then asks and Jinx looks at her strangely, having figured someone related to Danny Phantom would be a hero like him. They do. And I'm doing it because I'm sick of taking care of kids. Snake grumbles and Jinx and Donnie look to one another. Personally, I thought you'd hate this because you'd be a hero like Danny Phantom if you're related. Jinx admits and Donnie snarls once more, eyes glowing bright neon green once more. I swear, if one more person says something like that, I'm going to beat them into a bloody pulp. Just because I'm his clone does not make me him, damn it. I have thoughts and feelings of my own. And just because he's a big hero now doesn't mean that I am. I've lived on the streets for a long time, and stealing is the only thing I know how to do and I'm good at it. Donnie shouts while floating into the air, and Jinx blinks, then looks to an equally surprised Snake. Clone, how that explains quite a lot. I've had bad experiences with clones before. Snake admits and Jinx and Donnie both look at him strangely. How so? They ask once more and Cinch and Snake merely grunts. Rule 2. He grumbles out once more and both girls frown towards him. Kakashi appears back in the Konohan Inn hideout grunting while holding the utterly battered Sakura. Upon seeing the girl's condition, the other nin look to him and Kakashi sighs. Well, Sakura got mad. Kakashi offers as he walks over to a mat and lays her down, the others merely shrugging it off and Sasuke smirks. Weakling. He states before leaning back and Kakashi twitches, just wishing he could hurt that bastard sometimes, but fighting down the urge. Also, seems Pink X is pissed off at us, because Sakura attacked her boyfriend. We need a new plan. Kakashi grumbles and Ino slams her head into a table, muttering something under her breath as she does. Perhaps I can be of some assistance. The cool monotone voice offers, and the nin snaps their heads towards its source, a figure standing in a few nearby shadows. Who are you? Neji asks slowly while getting up, the figure walking forward, to reveal a young woman. The woman was as tall as Ino, with a cloth mask that covered the top of her head and face, leaving only her right slate gray eye, and her pale-skinned mouth and jaw visible. The mask was orange on the right side, with a black mark around the eye ending in an upward point. And with black on the left side without an eye entirely, two long ties flowing behind it with her long stark white hair. The girl wears a rather odd outfit in the nin's opinion, starting out with a pale blue skin-tight material over her upper torso, and even her fingers and hands, thick gray patches over her biceps, a collar of armor around her neck, and black armored gauntlets over her forearms. The black tank top over the skin-tight material with gray straps over her shoulders, a pair of gray-handled katanas sheathed on her back. Next was a pair of tight black pants, with armor over each thigh, a gray utility belt looped around her waist, gray knee pads, and a pair of calf-length black combat boots with gray soles and gray clips to hold them on tightly. My name is Ravager. The girl offers in that same cold monotone, while giving a rather curt bow to the nin, her single slate gray eye, never leaving them as she does. What do you want? Kakashi questions warily, something about the girl giving him the creeps. Oh, nothing. But I've been watching you all for quite some time now, and the Titans did kill my father. Ravager muses, instantly gaining Sasuke's attention. Humph, an Avenger without something to avenge is nothing but a mad dog without a purpose. Let's give him someone to avenge, let's give him back his purpose. Ravager thinks to herself while resisting the urge to smirk. So it's revenge you're after? Sasuke asks, knowing that feeling rather well, and Ravager straightens up while crossing her arms. Call it what you will. Ravager offers coolly, then looks to Kakashi. You need a way to capture Uzumaki Namikaze Naruto, aka Red X, aka Tempest, am I correct? Ravager questions with a strange look, and Kakashi had to resist the urge to shiver. Something really wasn't right about this girl, and how in hell did she know all of his aliases, and even his full name? Yes. He finally admits while Ino, Sasuke, Neji, and Hinata stand beside him. Then you should know that I have both the power and resources you will need for this rather troubling purpose. And I also have a plan, I might add. Ravager offers, and Kakashi looks at her strangely once more. Really? And what is this plan? Kakashi questions, and Ravager smiles darkly. Nah. First things first, she says with a wag of one finger, then walks forward, her arms folded behind her back as dozens of Slade's old commando drones walk or crawl out of the shadows all around the warehouse, in order to completely surround them. Kakashi and the other nin looking around in shock. Do we have a deal? Ravager then questions with an eerie smile on her face. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want a next part of this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification, and also check out the other videos that I have created, and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.